From The Australian, here's what's on the front. I'm Claire Harvey. It's Thursday, September 4, 2025. A phenomenal flexing of military muscle that's designed to send the world a clear message. That's the takeout from a huge armed forces parade in central Beijing's Tiananmen Square, featuring massed soldiers marching with fixed bayonets, displays of military hardware, and guest appearances by foreign politicians including Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-Un, and Daniel Andrews. Today, our China correspondent Will Glasgow, up close and personal with the People's Liberation Army.
Hey there.
Yep, can you hear me?
Nah, as soon as I plug in the thing, it turns it off. Okay, that's cool.
Right.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. This is Will Glasgow, the Australian's North Asia correspondent. He's calling me on WhatsApp from Tiananmen Square in central Beijing after a military parade like nothing either of us have ever seen.
Seeing what time it is, it feels so late. It's the parade is over. They're unpacking. It's not yet midday, right? I got into a cab to go to meet my bus at just after 2 a.m. So I was up at 1:30 a.m. Some people were up earlier than that, right? I had to get to a media centre on totally the other side of town at 2:30 a.m. Then had to go through my first security check of the day. When did we get on a bus? About 4 a.m. So it's an absolutely epic day, really long. There's no food. We were given a little snack back, so you did get. I walked that back. There's no cafes or anything open. You're not allowed to bring your own food. We were allowed to bring in the snack pack that we were provided, so a bottle of water and a little bit of things to munch on. But yeah, it's a long day with very little food, and it's pretty hot. And Tiananmen, one thing about building the world's biggest square, just this enormous concrete Stalinist monstrosity that was built here in the 50s, is it just beams back the sun like nothing else. It gets baking hot. So yeah, it's a very memorable way to spend 12 hours, but probably about ready to leave Tiananmen Square today.
I think you're ready for a nap. If only you didn't have to write 17 stories and shoot videos. Will, you've been reporting about the build-up to this parade for quite a while now. How did it compare to your expectations?
Well, during it, I must say, at times I was thinking kind of underwhelming. But then now that it's passed, I kind of miss it. And I'm looking back fondly at my special time so close to so much People's Liberation kit.
Was it an impressive display of military might when you saw all that hardware?
Oh, look, as an Australian watching it there, well across a lot of Chinese territorial disputes, when you see the hard power that China's assembling, it makes all those scenarios even more troubling, even more worrying, and you wonder where are some of those going into the future.
Yeah, well, I was stunned by the formation marching of guards with bayonets fixed and people carrying automatic weapons, turning their heads in unison to face Xi Jinping as he drove past in an open-topped car. Is this the kind of display that Chinese people are used to, big displays of strength by the PLA, or is this a once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience?
Look, it's become much more common since Xi Jinping became the General Secretary of the Communist Party in late 2012. He's overseen far more military parades, and at a tempo, they're happening more often than they used to happen before. Now, look, partly that's Xi, part of the way he sees his leadership is that he is the leader that is enabling China to be powerful again on the world stage. He's also just the leader at the moment when China's got this military equipment to show off. You go back 20 years ago, and it was a pretty feeble display, what would be rolling down Chang'an Avenue in Beijing at this kind of a thing. But what you're seeing is she wants them to get bigger and better each time. And what definitely is happening, unquestionably, the quality, the lethality of the weapons that are rolling along the centre of Beijing each time is stepping up at such a pace, it's extraordinary. So there's a new stealth fighter they have, and there was more vision of that than there's been previously. Similarly, with a new class of hypersonic missiles the Chinese have made. We knew about them, we saw a bit more of them, and the Chinese feel confident enough in them, apparently, to display them, or at least display bits of them.
Australia's ambassador to China didn't show up, as you said, a defence attaché in their place. How much of a snub is that, and will Australia pay for that?
It's very pointed, it's very clear. I mean, this same parade marking the end of World War II and the Chinese victory with its allies over Japan at the end of World War II. Go back 10 years ago. This one here was the 80th anniversary of that. 10 years ago at the 70th, we had a minister from the Abbott government. The Veteran Affairs Minister came here. Now, this time, we don't even have the ambassador. You're down to the defence attaché, military attaché, and a political counsellor along. And it was very deliberate. The government made that very clear to me. It's a very deliberate signal. Now, we're not the only one. I mean, 10 years ago, people had a different view about China, and there were many countries giving China more of a benefit of the doubt about its increasing military capabilities, that, it's a big, powerful country, and so it's going to have a big, powerful military. That's just the logic of the world. With a big economy comes that. But China's behaviour in the last 10 years, and particularly the way Xi Jinping has been so close, so supportive of Vladimir Putin since his war in Ukraine, the latest war in Ukraine since 2022. He was the guest of honour today, and the Chinese, Xi Jinping himself and the Chinese propaganda machine couldn't have made it clearer. The parade began with him walking side by side with Kim Jong-Un, the North Korean dictator, who is contributing North Korean troops and missiles and other military equipment explicitly to that Russian war effort against Ukraine. So the way China's behaved, the company it's keeping, the support it's giving, diplomatic and military, to Vladimir Putin's war machine, that has disgusted and appalled a lot of countries, including Australia. And, in 2015, there was the South Korean president. They came along to this. This time, they're not coming. And, there's been a big change in China's relations with a lot of different countries as they've experienced and encountered this increasingly powerful China that's buttressed by the PLA might that's on display here. So, there's just a lot of the diplomatic speakers, like-minded countries, liberal democracies, but also some other countries who are uncomfortable about the PLA's build-up and the way Xi Jinping has asserted it, and so wanted to make a point, as Australia really clearly did, by demoting its representation so significantly.
One Australian who did show up was former Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews, who of course was in power certainly at the beginning of his term at a time when a connection with China was seen as perhaps less sinister than it is now. Former New South Wales Premier Bob Carr decided not to show up. You've been reporting about some speculation about whether it was, good for the Albanese government to have those senior Labor figures there or not. What do you think now, having seen the parade unfold and seen Dan Andrews, shaking hands and walking a red carpet with Xi Jinping?
Yeah, well, look, my personal view was it was an extraordinary thing that they ever thought it was a good idea to turn up here, and that they would do it out of sync with the Australian federal government. It's just almost beyond belief. Now, Dan Andrews went ahead with it, and the warning, the thing that had been told to me, and frankly, not news to me, I knew this myself, that the Chinese government was going to latch on to him and Bob Carr if they came, and they would just be grist for the propaganda mill. And sure enough, Dan Andrews was introduced as a statesman from Australia, and there he was, shaking Xi Jinping's hand and, giving the pretense for a Chinese audience watching it on CCTV that, many probably mistook him for Australia's Prime Minister, Australia's leader, and that they see that as a signal that the Australian government and Australia is on board and supportive of this build-up. The signal the government wanted to send, and has also sent, but it's been muddied by this, is completely the opposite. Now, Bob Carr, very late in the game, he's come to Beijing amazingly. He's come, but then not attended the military parade. So, it's really over to Dan Andrews to explain why it was a good idea for him to be here and why jarring so clearly and so explicitly with the Australian federal government, why was that a good idea? It's over to Dan.
Coming up, the very clear message to Taiwan. was the primary audience for this, Will? Was it Donald Trump? Was it the leadership of Taiwan? Was it ordinary Chinese people?
Yeah, look, I think you start with ordinary Chinese people. That's really important. I mean, the Communist Party, maybe start there first. The People's Liberation Army is the Chinese Communist Party's army, not the Chinese People's Army, the Chinese Communist Party army. So start with the Communist Party. Xi just, again, demonstrating his dominance over the party and its military, the People's Liberation Army. From there, you go to China's people, hugely important. I mean, Xi is obsessed with constantly promoting his image within China as a great leader that's making the country more powerful.
全国同胞们，尊敬的各位国家元首、政府首脑和国际组织代表。
And that all Chinese people are benefiting from what he calls the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. So, start with the party, then go to the Chinese people. And then from there, look, international capitals, right? I think Washington is at the top of that. Donald Trump is at the top of that, sending a signal to him that China is a big, serious country and it needs to be treated with respect. And it's got capabilities to do things that the Americans don't want to learn about, right? Then you step down from there to Taiwan. I mean, yes, there is a message going to Taiwan. And I mean, essentially the Chinese position is boiled down to, we can do this the easy way or the hard way, Taiwan. What do you want? The offer is peaceful. They call it reunification, peaceful unification with China, using something like the Hong Kong one China, two systems, or with Beijing reserving the right, as it has in Hong Kong, to adjust the second system until it feels comfortable with it. That's the easy way Taiwan's been offered. And then there's the hard way, which is we can use this stuff that you just saw rolling down the streets of Beijing and force you to be part of China, And I mean, their Chinese plan, and they're very open about this, is they just keep building up that equipment year after year. And they say it's inevitable that Taiwan will return, and they see part of that inevitability is just the huge increase of power and might of the Chinese People's Liberation Army. It just gives them the ability to force things to happen.
Will Glasgow is the Australian's North Asia correspondent. You can read Will's reporting and check out all the remarkable pictures and video of that Chinese parade, plus our experts' analysis, right now at theaustralian.com.au.